Okay, so Bernie Sanders had emergency heart surgery yesterday after experiencing chest pain at a campaign event. This is something the left, they don't want to talk about. They don't want to talk about it other than, I don't know, maybe plugging Medicare for all. But because of this health scare, is Bernie up for the job? Joining me now to discuss is host of the Rubin Report, Dave Rubin. Dave, thanks for joining us.
It's good to be here.
So it's nothing personal against Bernie. But, I mean, the average lifespan for an American male is 78 years old. Bernie is a 78-year-old guy. The leading cause of death in America is heart disease. Is this something that should concern the American people?
All right. Well, first off, for any of us that have differing political views than Bernie, in many cases, 180 political views from his socialist beliefs, I think it's just important to preface any conversation about this by saying that, I wish the guy well. I don't want him to be sick, and hopefully he'll get through this and get the care that he needs. That being said, and I do truly mean that, being said, the real issue here is that his time has passed. Look, his time was 2016. The DNC ensured that he was not going to be the nominee, even though by many accounts he should have been the nominee. And the DNC has basically admitted to rigging it, for Hillary. But the energy behind him is sort of dissipating at this point. I would say Elizabeth Warren has sort of jumped him in the minds of the true democratic socialists, let's say. And, in a weird way, him having a health issue, as long as he's long-term okay, if this gives him a way to get out without having to be destroyed by the left, and that's what they do. They always have to destroy everyone else on the way up. If this gives him a little off-ramp so that the Warren crew and the Democratic machine, which is obviously not behind him at this point, doesn't have to destroy him, then I think it's a net good. But yeah, look, I don't like judging people purely based on age or purely based on what their health characteristics may or may not be. But yeah, he's getting up there. And I think in general, we could use some young blood in both the parties at this point. But if he was perfectly healthy and he had the right ideas, then more power to him.
It's fascinating because, in 2016, Bernie comes on the scene and he's got these crazy ideas that everyone is saying these socialist ideas are not going to connect to the American people. These are radical ideas. And he was kind of the new one on the scene because of these ideas, and they ended up connecting and resonating with a lot of Americans. And now they're just kind of stale and old because all of these other candidates have adopted his point of view. And you have Elizabeth Warren basically saying the same things that he was saying back in 2016, except she's a woman. And you've got these other candidates who check more of the boxes. Cory Booker, they check more of the intersectionality boxes. And so now he kind of just seems like he's just old and stale. And I kind of feel bad for the guy because he was robbed of his shot in 2016. But at this point, the entire Democratic Party is now adopting his ideas.
Well, in a weird way, I feel bad for him, too. I mean, this is a guy who I disagree with on basically everything. I think he actually doesn't understand what the Constitution is. I don't think he fully understands what freedom is.
Do you think he's ever read it?
Well, maybe he read it once a long, long time ago, probably when he was on his honeymoon in Russia. Right. But I don't think he really understands actually what freedom and liberty are. I think he thinks that everything should be top down, meaning the government basically is God and should be giving us all of these things. My belief is that liberty is first. We should be bottom up. You should be free first, and the government should be involved only at the absolute necessary minimum that allows a society to flourish. And then you can debate exactly where that is. But look, the ending for Bernie was never going to be great. And again, I don't mean this about his health, but, you can think back to, 3 or 4 years ago when he was giving a speech during the campaign and Black Lives Matter, a couple activists grabbed the mic from him and he just stood there kind of with his head down and didn't grab the mic back, even though the hundreds, if not thousands of people were there for him, not for these activists. Because intersectionality, the way that calculator works, he knew that if he was to grab the mic from those young black women, that then he would have been called racist. This is like when Nancy Pelosi says something about AOC and then AOC says that Nancy Pelosi is a racist. This is how intersectionality and this victimhood as virtue game works. So the machine was designed to destroy him one day. And I think if this gives him a chance to perhaps get out with some dignity intact and then be the grandfather of the party, be the elder, that's probably the best he could get. And again, I say that as someone that disagrees with all of these all of his ideas. But I don't wish the guy sickness or anything.
No,
like
and
that.
I don't think any of us do. And prayers are with Bernie and his family, and especially his wife. I'm sure it's a hard time for them.